What is up, guys? Welcome back to Pat Outdoors. This is going to be part 6 of the Razor Ground Force Drift Kart project. At this point, we're ready to install the VEVOR brushless motor kit. I'm going to start by modifying the bottom bracket on the MY1020 motor since there's not a lot of surface area on the motor mount. And then we're going to install a larger sprocket, make a new chain, mount the controller, and then turn up the voltage some more. I ended up having to bend this edge down to make more room for the motor to be slid over to the left. And unfortunately, it cracked the paint and chipped off in pieces, but this is actually not the Rust-Oleum bed liner that failed. The bed liner is so strong, it actually pulled off the original finish from Razor, which is why this is gray on the backside. I'm just gonna refinish this once I'm almost done with the project. Now I'm gonna drill out the new holes for the motor mount. I'm not gonna fully tighten the motor mount just yet, just so I can swing it back when I'm refinishing this portion of the frame. Now I'm gonna install the new 15-tooth 25H sprocket, along with make the new chain. Swapping out the sprockets on these MY1020 or MY1016 style motors is pretty much the same across the board. It's pretty simple. You just hold the shaft down with a 10mm, and you can take a 12mm to break the nut loose, which is reverse thread, just as a reminder. So you turn it clockwise to loosen the nut. Put the new 15-tooth 25H sprocket on. Now we're going to be making a new chain. Just going to get this one to the general correct length by using this chain detacher that I got from Amazon. If you guys are interested in checking out any of the items that we're using for this project, I will have everything linked in the description below. Now that I've confirmed that the chain alignment is good and that the chain is at the proper length that we're looking for, I'm gonna go ahead and refinish this section where the paint chipped off, along with this portion where I ground off a little bit of the material to make sure that we don't have any sort of corrosion issues in the future. It's been about 8 hours, so this should have had plenty of time to cure by now. I purposely cut the chain a little bit longer than I needed so that we can fine tune the chain tension with the bolt at the bottom by raising the motor mount up and down. It's always such a pain in the ass with these smaller chains. Unlock the jam nut, and we're going to turn the 16mm bolt up till we get this tension just right. Not too tight, not too loose. That's just about the right tension that I want. So I am going to lock the 17mm jam nut. That's what the jam nut looks like. And here's how the chain aligned perfectly. Now let's go mount the controller. That is not going anywhere. Now it's time to figure out how I'm going to do all the wiring. Before we keep moving forward with this project, I just want to make sure that the setup actually turns on and functions. So I just have the phase wires hooked up. I'm going to hook up a temporary battery to this controller. Hall sensors hooked up. Key switch, brake, throttle, and a headlight. I just want to see if I have to repin anything or if I can just leave the current configuration from the last controller. Because that would be awesome if I don't have to repin anything else. This controller also has a couple other features that we may or may not use, such as reverse, charge port, 3-speed controller. The brake light is going to be the last thing I hook up when I install the seat, once we confirm that everything else works. So all I did to the original harness was added a third DeWalt 20-volt max adapter that I wired in a series. So technically this should be making 60 volts. First one, second one, and moment of truth. Showing 61.6 volts. Headlight automatically turns on when you key on, though I'm not sure why the voltmeter is still reading. Throttle works. So far, so good. The strangest thing just happened. This throttle just randomly failed, and then the motor was just spinning slowly on its own. So I thought I fried the controller since the display went out, but I hooked up this pedal that I had laying around, and so this foot pedal works perfectly fine with this controller. So this just randomly failed. I think it's just a coincidence, so I might just swap this out. So I have a couple of these 3-speed controllers laying around because I've done a lot of Kunray and VEVOR installs on some Razors. So I'm actually gonna hook this up to the controller to see if it's worth installing it on the go-kart. I just wanna see what RPMs this spins at all 3 different speeds, and with it completely unplugged, I'm gonna use this Nico digital tachometer to measure the wheel speed. Just gonna put a piece of silver tape on the wheel. Without a speed switch installed, the current RPM reading of this rear wheel is 2,411 RPM. Now I'm gonna hook this up and see what speed it spins at all 3 different speeds. Okay, we're gonna start with mode 1. So mode 1 is looking like 1,515 RPM. Try it out in mode 2. Mode 2 shows 2,413. So I'm pretty sure mode 2 is the same thing as with this, completely unplugged. So let's try mode 3. Then mode 3 is actually slower than mode 2, 1,977 RPM. So this is actually why I don't really want to install the speed switch, because I have no reason to go slower. I use the same Nico digital tachometer to calibrate the speedometer on my 74 volt Talaria XXX. Now the speedo reads accurately when I'm going 63 miles an hour. If you want to check this out, I'll have it linked in the description below. Another thing that also doesn't work with this controller apparently is the brake light, but I'm not too upset about that because this was very dim. So I'm just going to remove this, and I'm actually going to mount the batteries on the back side of the seat. I'm pretty sure this is as much motor, controller, and battery you can fit on a Razor ground force drift kart. That is like violently torquey compared to an overvolted stock motor. There's certainly a difference between a 250 watt brush motor versus a 2000 watt brushless kit. All right guys, well that is all I have time for today. I've got some diagnosing to do regarding my thumb throttle. I gotta take care of that before we can take this thing out and safely test it out with a new power upgrade. Let me know if you guys think I should just switch to a foot pedal on this. But if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects, such as my electric dirt bikes or my Razor MX650, consider subscribing to this channel. But this is gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching.